It's time to put your health in your own hands. Get ready to learn from today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, INTHIRANI ARUL. She is the founder of Soul Path Incorporated, and she is an author and award-winning Dale Carnegie graduate. From age 9, INTHIRANI has been a caregiver for her blind mother with mental health issues, the elderly, and those with special needs. Through struggle, numerous losses, and experiences, she pursued a journey to empower herself through self-discovery. In 2011, during her search for divine guidance, her life was transformed when she met Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, founder of Trivedi Global Incorporated and the Trivedi Effect. While a participant in the Trivedi Healers Mastery Program, she discovered and developed her innate healing abilities. With Guruji Trivedi's guidance, INTHIRANI entered into the arena of science, where her energy healing abilities have been validated by scientific research in overall health, well-being, and vitamin D3 experiments. She attributes her gifts of devotion, inspiration, compassion, sensitivity, and perseverance that allow her to empower lives through heart-centered leadership to her association with Guruji Trivedi. Her mission is to bring compassion and quality care into the lives of those she serves. Welcome, INTHIRANI. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much, Tammy, for having me on your radio show.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We live in very exciting times, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the Trivedi Effect and what it is, and then also I'd like to know more about Soul Path and more about your background in general.
Sure. So what the Trivedi Effect is it is a phenomena that takes non-living and living particles, and it has the ability to transform it into something that's productive, and really helps it evolve into something that's meaningful and that can truly impact a person's life or the life of living things on this planet.
So you've been involved since 2011. What led you to meet Mr. Trivedi?
Well, in 2011, after the loss of my husband, which was in 2004, I was actually on my own self-discovery journey. I had lost my mother in 2003. She was someone who suffered from mental health issues, and then in 2004, of course, my husband passed away in a motor vehicle accident, and I had a son who was 18 months old when my husband passed, and I also had he had a restaurant that he just had opened, and I had so much on my plate. It was just so horrific and traumatic, the experience, and I started seeking because I knew all this was happening for some greater reason, and I was really seeking to discover what it was. Why am I here on this planet, and why has all this stuff happened in my life? And so I started reading and doing all these courses, and and one day I was on this webcast It was an international summit, and Guruji was happened to be on this webcast on some international summit as a speaker, and I was just blown away by the way, by the fact that he was proving science and abilities through the science, and how he was transforming living and non-living things on this planet and impacting so many lives. And it just truly inspired me. And so I joined the monthly enhancement program. And then I met, I discovered that Guruji was coming to Vancouver. And actually, he came up to Kelowna, BC. And so I went up to meet him because I really was drawn to see, to gain some understanding and to really improve my life. And I brought my son and my sister with us. We all came together, and my sister actually drove us up. And it was just a phenomenal experience. I mean, I felt a sense of calm after my blessing with Guruji. And I also had a blessing from Dharan. And it just was an experience that I can't even describe. With Dharan, literally my tears were just rolling down. I mean, I don't know where they were coming from, but they were just literally, and it was just like an experience that I can't even describe. It was, it was incredible. And then on the way home, the highway was so dark, and my sister was terrified of driving down the Coquihalla Highway. And it was pitch black. This truck had come in front of us and was kind of like, it was like Guruji was with us, taking us home. This big, huge truck with all these lights that came right in front of us and literally led us through that highway back into where there was light. So yeah, that's, I was just so blessed, and I see so much in the growth of my son. And at that time in my life when I met Guruji, I really was so tired of speaking and communicating. I would stutter a lot, and it was just, I didn't even know what my purpose was. And I feel that my life has changed so much over the years. I mean, I've met people have come into my life that have kind of guided me along the way. And I've written 2 books. One is called The Self-Esteem Survival Guide, The River Within Me. It's a true story of my journey, because I was in a marriage that was an arranged marriage, and I know many people suffer with their self-esteem, and I wanted to make a difference in this world so I can help other people and help empower other people, and so kind of led me on that journey to write. And one of the things I do love doing is writing from the heart. And I also wrote a second book. It's called Soul Path, The Journey of a Heart-Centered Leader. And it's just been an incredible journey.
Well, that is an incredible journey. I actually just looked up your book, The Self-Esteem Survival Guide. You published that book in 2015, which was after you had met Guruji. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And your other book, Soul Path, when did you publish that?
Well, it went into the publishing process. However, the company that I was with, the publishing company, shut down. Um, they,
Oh,
so it never really got into publication. So even this first book is, it's no longer, out there at this moment because of that publishing company being shut down.
well, I can tell. I just found a brief preview of the Self-Esteem Survival Guide book. It was available, just the preview of it, and it sounds very phenomenal. Just by I saw the chapters about the becoming your authentic self. Now, so you met Guruji in 2011?
Yes.
And then your world kind of opened up for you and your son, and you mentioned that your sister also went with your husband, a part of this big journey. So as far as I kind of want to go back and ask you a little bit more about your book, because obviously it's going to come out again. Your two books will come out again eventually. Right? Because you're in the re-editing process.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit I think self-esteem issues are so huge in the world today. And I think that, again, the Trivedi effect, the energy of life force energy, biofield energy, really is part of this having healthy self-esteem. And so as you wrote this book about being authentic and developing self-esteem, what would you say are the basic premises or points that you have discovered in that journey? Because like you said, hey, my mother passed away, my husband was killed in an accident, I had to take care of a little 18-month-old baby. I didn't, it was me and my sister, and we were, think about it, the grief I can only imagine, and of having two people, your mother and your husband, and then trying to manage or operate a restaurant, especially if it wasn't something that you had the skills to do, how difficult that must have been. So can you give me like the three main points of your self-esteem survival guide? Even though the book isn't available right now, I think you probably have some valuable information to share with our audience.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Well, the most important thing is to always remember who you are. That we are a part of the Creator, and that we have that authentic side that exists within us, and is to connect to that authentic side, that authentic self that is our soul. We all have a soul, and it's to connect to that soul. And the way I know how to connect, that I was connected, was through Guruji, Mahendra Trivedi, the Trivedi effect. It truly was part of this journey of me, really having that faith, is to have faith and to keep taking every day, take that step towards the goal you're reaching. Never give up. As hard as it may seem in the moment, never give up, because taking one step at a time will get you to where you want to be. I truly believe is faith. That's and believing in the end result, the outcome. What is the outcome that you're looking for?
I think that outcome is something that the average person doesn't really think about, because we're so wrapped up in the process of how are we going to do something, and we, like, we don't always look at, the end point, what is the result of our actions. And I think that that's something that the Trivedi effect seems to offer to people, is that connection to the divine, and so that your thought process just seems to be more smooth. Can you think about, during this process, you said that you also have a second book that is in production, called The Soul Path. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Soul Path, it takes you on the journey from birth until you leave this planet. And it's how to become that authentic, heart-centered leader. And the various that we all go through, like the butterfly effect, and we all go through the process of struggle, expansion, and growth, which leads to change. And one of the biggest lessons I learned in life is that all our experiences in life are there for a greater purpose. They're there for us to, for growth. They're there for us to learn from. Even though they were difficult experiences, what was the lesson in that experience? What was it that I gained in that experience? Is to look at those aspects of that experience and see, what can I do next time? How can I do, make a decision in a way that I can create that outcome that I'm looking for? And to really do that self-assessment on ourselves, because it's through that self-assessment that we can become clear on our steps and our goals to accomplish in our lives, and how these experiences impacted our lives, and why, how they could, what they were there to teach us. What were the lessons I gained? Was it patience? Was it to be, to speak up more? What were those lessons? And then, it's to understand that we all have an IQ and EQ. We have an intellectual intelligence. We all go to school. Many of us go to school. There's books. There's all this information, this data, this knowledge. Statistics, all these sort of things. And then there's EQ, it's our emotional intelligence. It's that level of understanding of that, it's through the experiences that we have, to have that understanding of that interaction, the relationships, and the interactions, and what did we gain in those interactions, and how did we become, what did we learn through that experience with that person, or what was I, experiencing in this moment. I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time describing this. It's really important to have both IQ and EQ, our emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence, because, and our social intelligence, like EQ is our social intelligence. It's that, the learning that we get from those experiences. And,
I think that you're describing it perfectly, and And I think what's really interesting about, your books is, you've got your self-esteem book, and then you have the Soul Path Journey, and that these are things that you have worked on after you met Guruji Trivedi. And I was just curious if you feel that relationship and participating in the Healer's Mastery Program or in the different science that you participated in, if you think that helped you to develop some of these concepts that you're describing and to help you process your own soul's path, to help you on your journey to wherever it is that you're headed, with whatever that is, the higher consciousness, the business you're in, the healing, the connection to life force energy. Do you feel that helped you in creating these works that you've done?
Absolutely, on every level. It's been there with me the entire time while creating. It was amazing. Even when I was writing, it was like I'd read what I wrote sometimes, and I'd say, "Where did that come from?" It was absolutely. It was just almost like a download.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'd read it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this came out through me." So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think that whenever people, especially creative people, writers, that is a gift. It's a gift that you're able to communicate, take information and then write it on paper so that it can be shared with the rest of the world, or the lessons can be shared. And it's interesting to me that, and I realize, you've had other mentors and other people along the way who've helped you to open up and to share these different things and everything. But it seems like your commonality or a thread is that meeting with Mr. Trivedi seemed to help you to open up and actually to make some concrete headway into sharing this information. Even if it was in an indirect way, it still seems like your articulation, you were saying, "Oh, I'm having a hard time describing this," but the truth is that you were articulating the soul path very, very well, and so I thought that was very interesting. So I wanted to ask you a question that comes up a lot with the Trivedi effect, and that is a lot of people, it's like, okay, so what is this life force energy? And so if you can describe it, and then there's the term about it connecting you to the God of your understanding. And even though that seems really cut and dried, the God of your understanding, I know I've had people argue with me about that. And so I was just curious if you could describe the Trivedi effect as you understand it, and then also talk about the God of your understanding. What does that mean?
Okay. So the Trivedi effect is really, it's divine energy. It's and the way it's received is through, like Guruji, for example. It was because of Guruji that I even had the privilege of being a part of the science and being a part of the Trivedi effect and being a part of the Healers program. Guruji is like the conduit. He is a being that has the ability to connect with the God of our understanding, with the Creator, and He has the ability to connect us perhaps we're a computer example connecting to the satellite, but we are the human being that Guruji is connecting to the God of our understanding, to the Creator, the divine. And that's what I understand about the Trivedi effect. It's to have that divine connection with the divine. And it was only led through Guruji. That's how I was able to experience it. What does the God of my understanding mean? God of my understanding is the Creator, is who created this, who created me, who brought me to this planet. My parents were the conduit. My mother was the conduit. My parents and my father, they were the conduit. But the divine God, the God of my understanding, is who created me, and that is how I was brought to this planet through them. And through the blessing of having my parents in my life, who gave me this life on the physical form. So
that's so beautiful. Again, like I said, it's amazing how sometimes, as simple as it is, people can't believe it's that simple. That it is just as simple as that you're being connected to the divine, the creator, the source, whatever you call it, divine, the God of your understanding, God, the name. And again, it is very interesting to me how many people struggle with that simple concept of being connected to the God of your understanding in that direct way. So it's a very interesting thing. Well, I'm going to let you go, INTHIRANI. I wanted to find out more about the books that you've written and about the self-esteem and the soul path, because I find that you have something very unique about you, that, again, you have that creative outlet and you're sharing some of these big truths with other people through your writing. And I think that that's really important as part of your journey. Now, if somebody wants to talk to you or work with you, how can they do that?
They can reach me at INTHIRANI.com. And that's my website. They can go to my website, they can reach me, or they can reach me at INTHIRANI@INTHIRANI.com.
Okay.
My number is 778-858-6131.
And on that website, you've got links to the science that you've participated in, testimonials, blog posts, all kinds of FAQ information. So it's a pretty in-depth website that you have. And then, of course, in the future, we can look forward to when your books get re-released. And I think that's pretty exciting, that we'll be on the lookout for those, and they'll be all updated and ready to go, since it's been a few years since they were first published anyway. So I'm sure you have more to add to them. So again, thank you so much for spending time with me, and I'll invite you back again another time. And I really appreciate all the time you took with me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tammy. I truly appreciate this time with you and being able to share. Thank you.
Great. Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. To get more solid health and wellness information, visit OptimalHealthRadio.com.